can you tell us about your early childhood and how it was for you coming to the US and how that shaped some of your like early rejections and resiliency?
Yeah, I mean, I was born in the Dominican Republic, and my parents moved to the U.S. when I was 6 months old. So I was raised by my grandmother in a very small town of Cotuí. And when I think back at my life then, the simplicity of how I looked at happiness and the joys of everything, it was so pure. The reason why I'm here today is because I went through so many difficult moments. It's because there were so many obstacles.
Mhm.
Because outside, when I started getting older, even in the Dominican Republic, and started looking around, I'm like, okay, well, what am I here to do? And, you live in a culture where you're getting molded to, at least for me, I grew up with a lot of women in my family where it was all about being ladylike, right? And molding us into being great daughters so that we can turn into good wives, so that we can turn into good mothers. And fantastic, I am a mother today.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for those lessons. But I also, had to move around a lot. And that's very difficult to continuously adapt. Not being with my parents was a very difficult time for me. And thinking back of my life now with the knowledge and the wisdom that I have now, I feel like it was all for me, not, done to me. And that's what I want to share. And that's how I want my life to be looked at, that it is through these struggles that I have learned resilience, that I've gotten to know who I am. And like I said, that you get to understand what works and what doesn't work. And, to me at the time, things felt difficult. I was, used to live with an aunt of mine, Juana, who's amazing, took care of us early on, but she was very rigid and very strict. And so that was a very different way of growing up. And then, you have to get to a place of like, okay, wait, is this what I want for my future? Is this how I want to teach resilience? Is this how I want to teach strength? But had I not gone through that, I might not know.
Yeah.
And then moving to America at an early age, I started living with my parents. I was 10 years old. I didn't speak the language, and I was coming into this new world and trying to figure myself out. And that's already a difficult, transition. So to come into Washington Heights, we were living 169th on Broadway, and think, oh my God, well, my parents haven't lived with us for a lot of years. They must have money. They've been preparing for our arrival the whole time. And then to realize like, oh, wait, they've been struggling for all those years. And, it just makes me feel really grateful today. At the time, I didn't understand it. And I think that's, the leeway that we have to give ourselves, that sometimes those difficult moments are just going to feel difficult.
Yeah.
And you have to just remind yourself that it's okay to feel like it's difficult. And then to have podcasts like this that make you feel that you can listen to and say, okay, I'm not alone.
Exactly.
I'm not the only one that has felt the no's. I'm not the only one that has felt like I couldn't move forward. There's an obstacle that's like, oh, you can't get through, a door that you just can't knock down. That's all been a part of my journey.